Hartford Symphony Orchestra brings music to a wide, diverse group of people and really give people the sense of what the power and the pleasure and the enjoyment of hearing classical music is in the 21st century.
I think that music and the arts are essential here at the community.
It touches a part of all of us that you can't touch with diet or exercise.
With the symphony coming and doing outreach and having Bill here today was very valuable for them. You know, the kids were totally starstruck when he came in, and you know, he in particular was so laid back with them, and it's just, you know, just another guy who loves music.
All right, I'm going to do it. Ram, pa-dum, pa-dum.
I play the cello. I think it's amazing to learn the cello. It's really brought out my creativity in school, and it makes me think a little bit more creative and approach different scenarios differently.
I feel like it's my passion, and other people are passionate about different things, but I think music is mine. It's really frustrating a lot, but I get it's really rewarding.
It was really awesome. He had a different view on a lot of the stuff that Mr. Drake had, which was really nice, like to see different views. And he's really energetic with all the kids, which made it like engaging.
Ah, you're 2 for 2!
Our musicality, I felt, changed a lot.
The Hartford Symphony has to be and must retain its role as a leader in education and in reaching out to children and reaching out to our communities.
One of the things that is important to us as music teachers is to make sure that we're not only developing a really fine musician, but developing a really fine person and a citizen of the world.
Research shows that exposing children to music enhances their learning skills across all subjects, including language and math, and even improve test scores. If by seeing one of our concerts a student is inspired to play an instrument, then that experience will teach them about teamwork and discipline.
I think certainly the younger that you're introduced to symphonic music and to music in general, I think the broader your horizons can be. It's an educational tool that I never had. I think it can be transforming for anybody at any stage. And I think you have to allow music to meet you where you are.
Be transformed.
Be transformed.
Be transformed.
Be
transformed.
Be transformed.
What a great introductory video. This show is going to be talking about nonprofit organizations within Hartford County. And right now, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of the Hartford Symphony Orchestra, Steve Collins. How are you?
Travis, nice to meet you. It's great to be here.
Nice meeting you. So tell me a little bit about Hartford Symphony Orchestra.
Sure. So the Hartford Symphony Orchestra is currently in its 72nd year of operation. We are the second largest professional orchestra in the New England area, second only to the Boston Symphony Orchestra. And we present a variety of programming both in concert halls, community centers, schools, and parks all around the greater Hartford area.
Clearly we understand that Hartford's going through a revitalization, and part of that whole resurgence is new restaurants on Front Street, understanding what's happening in Bushnell Park. You can see a whole set of programming. Understanding arts in that whole mix, how does Hartford Symphony Orchestra fit into that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I'll start by giving you some background. You know, the symphony administrative offices are located in the Bushnell Performing Arts Center, which, of course, if you know Hartford, is right on the edge of Bushnell Park and right down the street from the Capitol building.
It's in the center of it.
Yeah, right in the center of everything. We also perform quite often at the Bushnell Performing Arts Center. That's our principal concertizing venue in both their Belding Theater and Mortensen Hall. So that's our kind of home base. We also perform, like I said, throughout the community, things like noontime concerts at the Hartford Public Library, education programs in schools all around the area. And we have a lot of close partnerships with other performing arts organizations in town, like the Hartford Chorale and Theater Works and Real Art Ways and all those great organizations, the Wadsworth Athenaeum. And we're partners also with a lot of the foundations and state government agencies in downtown as well, such as the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving and the State Office of the Arts and all those great institutions. So, the symphony plays its part, its individual role in providing performing arts opportunities to the residents of downtown and the workers downtown and visitors and everyone else. And it's an honor to be able to do that.
We talked about a couple things, right? So the first thing I really want to talk about in terms of nonprofit organizations, having sustainable relationships with partners is really, really an important foundation of having the organization succeed and part of that strategic planning. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Right. So, I don't think any performing arts organization in the 21st century survives on an island. As you kind of implied, it's not like the symphony does their little thing and a local theater group does their thing and they're not interconnected. We all share a lot of the same resources. And frankly, we're all also competing for, audience attention and funder and sponsor dollars and all of those things. So it really behooves all of us to have really close relationships and to help each other as much as we can.
Right.
So, like I said, the symphony partners with, say, the Hartford Chorale on an annual basis, and we support each other. Without them, we lose a valuable programming opportunity, and without us, I think that they lose kind of the same thing. So that's really important. I think it's also really important for people to understand that, contributed income or sponsorships or foundation support is a really important part of our financial picture.
Yes.
But that's not simply it's not as straightforward as to say, well, we apply for a grant or for a sponsorship, that grant or sponsorship comes through, and then that's the end of it. Folks want to form lasting partnerships with the organizations that they support so that they can have input on the effect we're having in the community, that we can partner together to build on our strengths and serve mutual interests.
Right.
So in terms of working with a corporate sponsor or a foundation supporter, it's really about coming together, identifying those common interests, and seeing how we can work together to further those goals.
Right.
So it's really an intricate relationship, and it's all based on, the individual people that make the world go round.
Right. And we talk about this, especially within the nonprofit world, it's difficult to find dollars, right?
Sure.
So as we now move into the 21st century, figuring out exactly what your funding channels are and getting people to do some really good public giving, right? That's a really important piece.
Right.
I know recently you're a new executive director to the Hartford Symphony, correct?
Right.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I assumed the role of executive director on April 1st of just this year, 2016.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And it's a real honor, Travis.
Yeah.
The symphony has a great staff. We have a small but mighty staff of about 12 people. It's a fantastic team. We all work together towards our organizational goals. Our core musicians number about 76. They're incredibly talented, dedicated, vibrant people. There's another kind of cadre of around 100 musicians that we work with on a more kind of temporary basis. And then, of course, we're working with visiting artists and visiting conductors and all different kind of artistic partners. So, and then the whole thing is governed by a volunteer board of directors. And it's a real honor to have this opportunity to work with all these people and to, share creative energies. We have a music director in Carolyn Kwan, who is she's in our 5th year now with us, and she is just an artistic, creative dynamo. In fact, just today, my team spent about 6 hours with her working on creative ideas for the next several seasons.
Right.
That's another thing that a lot of people don't know about symphony orchestras. We start to plan seasons several years out. And there's lots of reasons for that I won't bore you with, but it's just a great pleasure. And I'm really enjoying the ride.
Wow. I actually do want to get into that, right? So as part of being a leader of the Hartford Symphony Orchestra, and you're an executive director of a nonprofit organization, programming is so fundamental. And thinking about the programs that you're going to give to the public, we're both nonprofit people. We understand taking a service-oriented approach is so fundamental, right? But the planning process behind that to deliver these services sometimes is challenging, right? It's not as easy as we think it is. So you want to talk a little bit more about that with me?
Sure. So I suppose now would probably be a good time to give a quick overview of our products and services as background to
perfect.
that.
Yep.
So in terms of our concert series, we have 5 major concert series.
Okay.
And they kind of run the gamut from small ensembles to full symphony orchestra, and they cover a wide variety of musical genres. Our Masterworks series is a 9-concert series that typically begins in October of every year, and that's our kind of classical music series.
Okay.
I will tell you, I try to avoid using that term classical.
Why?
Because it's not a really precise term, and it's interpreted by different people in different ways. I prefer just to call it orchestral music.
Okay, so you have the traditionalists that...
So, I mean, to say classical paints a picture that may or may not be accurate, because not all orchestral music is classical music.
Correct.
But I digress. So there's the Masterworks series. We have a 4-concert series we call our Pops series.
Okay.
And that's an opportunity for the orchestra to kind of stretch out in different ways to feature different genres of music, like jazz, rock, pop genres, that kind of thing. We might do a program with a movie. So a movie will play with live orchestra, recreating the soundtrack, that kind of thing.
Which is an amazing experience.
It's a fantastic experience.
I will have to tell people that if you've never had or went to a movie that's outside while the orchestra is actually playing, it's like having a sound score outside.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely amazing. So
Outdoors puts a new spin on it.
Correct.
Yeah, it's really great. So that's our Pop series. We have our Discovery Concert series, which is a 4-concert series engineered specifically for children. So these are school day concerts at the Bushnell Center for the Performing Arts, where we bus in thousands of kids in grades 1 through 8, and we create hour-long concert experiences for them that really kind of reach them on multiple levels, both educational level, entertainment level, opening their eyes to the diverse world of orchestral music.
Correct.
Not just classical.
Correct.
And, getting their bodies moving and getting them involved too, so that they're not just a passive audience. There's always a way for the children to participate in the performance, whether it just be clapping and singing along, or there's a program we do every spring where we work with several thousand Hartford students to help them learn recorder, the wind instrument, throughout the course of the entire school year, and then they all perform with the orchestra in the hall together.
Oh, that is amazing.
It's
that
an
is
amazing sound,
amazing
for sure.
A full disclosure is that's how actually I got exposed to classical music was when in elementary school we actually did get on a bus and go to the Bushnell and listen to classical music for an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean,
I'm not a young guy. So I mean, the Bushnell has been doing it for a long time,
and the symphony's been doing it for 72 years.
Correct.
So it's a great tradition. So that's the Discovery Concert Series. We have what we call a chamber music series at the Wadsworth Athenaeum called Sunday Serenade. So for those of you who may not know, chamber music refers to smaller ensembles of musicians. Playing a variety of different genres of music. And that's led by our concertmaster, a man named Lenny Segal. The concertmaster is the lead violinist in the orchestra. And he or she, in this case Lenny, has a really important role. He leads the entire string section and is really one of the artistic leaders of the entire orchestra. So that's a 3-concert series at the Wadsworth Athenaeum, featuring small ensembles. And it gives some of our musicians a great opportunity to really stretch out and do some really different things. Contemporary music, solo pieces like just for piano and violin, different kinds of combinations like that. And then our 5th concert series is the Talcott Mountain Music Festival. And this is an outdoor summer festival in its 21st year at a beautiful facility in Simsbury, Connecticut called the Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center.
Correct.
So it's outdoors, as I said. There's a beautiful amphitheater with an expansive grass lawn that can seat over 10,000 people. And we do a 5-concert series out there, including Independence Day celebration with fireworks and all different kinds of music, ranging from classical to jazz and pop and all different kind of styles.
So in the theme of your description, it's really about the experience, right? So being able to understand and identify the experience, right? Being exposed to music and the arts, I think is amazing, right? I've always had a question that I've what does a conductor really do?
You mean aside from wave their arms around? You know, I wish our music director was here to tell you herself. We'll have to have her in, you know, for a follow-up visit. You know, the job of music director is really complicated, and there's a diverse range of responsibilities. What the audience sees on stage at a performance is typically the orchestra playing and the conductor leading by hand gestures.
Right.
And that's a really important part. It's kind of the finished product, but there's a whole lot of work that goes into that. So I'll start at the end. That waving the arms on stage from the podium, the conductor's job in doing those gestures is to help guide the musicians through the performance in terms of the tempo of the music and the dynamics, how loud or soft things are. A skilled conductor can be very, very expressive with their hand and body gestures.
Correct.
To help shape a phrase or communicate to the musicians a different emotion that he or she wants to pull out of the music. And of course, facial expressions and you know, the totality of the body language is really important and something that the audience doesn't typically see. There's a trend developing among some orchestras in the country to either seat some patrons behind the orchestra, if it's possible in your theater. It's kind of a unique setup, so that they can see the conductor's face when they conduct, or to project their face on a video screen at a certain point in the hall, so that the audience gets that experience of seeing, oh, there's a whole level of communication that the musicians get that the audience usually doesn't, and that's really interesting.
It's an immersion experience. You're immersed. You're really taking the position of being an artist and part of that orchestra and looking at what those commands are.
Right. So sorry, I'll just continue a little bit about all that prep work that goes into it. So of course, by the time you see a finished performance on stage, the conductor has completely mastered the nuances of the music of that performance. And while they typically have the musical score in front of them, a lot of it really needs to be memorized, because if you'll notice, they aren't conducting with their face down in a score. They're conducting and maintaining eye contact with the musicians.
Correct.
So the preparation period can be huge. It's an incredible amount of material that they need to really learn and master and kind of figure out exactly what they want to pull out of the music. And then, of course, the music director also has a lot of offstage responsibilities, like meeting with donors and supporters and the press, and our musicians kind of offstage and you know, gaining their input, and working with the board of directors to help define artistic direction, working with the executive director and our administrative team in realizing the artistic vision. There's a lot that goes into it offstage as well.
Which leads me into a really good question, right? So the question is going to be, what are some of the challenges that you face as an executive director to herd the cats, right? I mean, it sounds like it's a really difficult thing. And I think as we take on these roles of nonprofit work, talk to me about what some of those challenges are for people that are listening.
Well, you know, we have our board of directors, our staff, our musicians, and a cadre of volunteers that help, you know, make the magic happen as well. So on the one hand, yeah, it is a lot of cats to herd, as you say. The good news is everyone has the same vision. Everyone wants the same thing, which is to touch people's lives through great music. Our mission statement is to enrich lives and community through great music.
Right.
You know, and notice it doesn't say classical music or even orchestral music, just to reach people through great music. So, you know, everybody's on board the bus. Everybody wants the same thing. It's a matter of just building consensus on the artistic vision, our business priorities, our financial priorities, where we see ourselves in 5 or 10 years, you know, all those milestones that we need to build towards. And, you know, luckily, I'm not working alone. I have a board of directors that is very active. We have a chairman of the board, and Mr. Jeff Verney, who is a phenomenal leader and supporter of all the great work. And there's musician leaders throughout the orchestra, as well as our music director, and there's volunteer leaders. So it's not a one-man command center by any means.
So this leads a really good question, even though we have about 5 minutes or so left here. I think about when you work for a very artistic type of organization, crafting a vision of where you want to go can sometimes be difficult, right? It's not like a financial institution. So when you talk about strategic planning, that process of that vision, does that come into play too in an organization?
Sure. You know, there's strategic planning, you know, can be broken into different components. There's artistic, there's kind of organizational, and there's financial. And, you know, wrapped up into organizational too, there's the kind of community impact that you want to have.
Correct.
And, you know, each of those individual components need to be approached in a little slightly different manner. You know, but again, it's about building consensus. And, you know, luckily, and it's one of the things that I find really enjoyable about my job and really exciting. Mm-hmm. There's no shortage of great ideas. In each of those 4 areas.
And if there was, we would be really concerned.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in each of those 4 areas, the challenge is in wading through all the great, creative, fantastic ideas out there that are generated from within the organization and even from without, looking at what our peers are doing, and figuring out which are going to be the best fit for us, which things we can do really, really well, and which things will have the most impact in our community. So it's not that there's not you know, a plethora of options to pursue. It's about evaluating what's going to work best. And again, this is not a one-man show by any means. We have a lot of partners.
Significant amount of teamwork. Steve, thank you very much for coming and explaining exactly what the Hartford Symphony Orchestra actually does.
Right.
And very, very proud to have them come along, and hopefully you guys stay tuned to learn a little bit more about some other nonprofit organizations within Hartford County and state of Connecticut.
Travis, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Excellent.
Years we've been coming to Talcott Mountain Music Festival. It's a beautiful surrounding. We're very fortunate to have a group like the Hartford Symphony.
We've seen so many different types of shows, and they're all incredible. Every single one, no matter what the theme is.
We like coming because it's a good atmosphere, relax, enjoy the music.
This is our 3rd season attending the Hartford Symphony Summer Concert Series, and the reason we do it is because it's our forced date night, and we enjoy the music, and the venue is wonderful.
It's just a fantastic time, something to look forward to on a Friday night.
How often can you get out and sit in a lawn chair, listen to good musicians with good friends?
Family environment for all of us. This is a wonderful thing. It's a gift.
We went from our first date here and then to getting engaged. And we'll be coming for as long as you have it on.
We just made friends at this wonderful place. I don't know.
Yeah, we just met each other.
Yeah,
and
we just met,
having a great time.
You see so many people here that you know, and then you see people that you meet from last year that you see again. Yeah. We just keep finding more and more friends, and the music is phenomenal. It's great.
It's an awesome party.
I love the symphony, and I love outside, and I love the summer.
This is going to be a definite tradition.
And everybody said, wow! You got some talent, y'all. You got some talent right here in Simsbury.